Welcome back everyone, not to Third Age Reforged this time, but this video will serve a few purposes. One is because I'm curious as to whether my render settings will actually work on a newer game. I'm not sure whether they would, I'm not sure whether they would survive the rendering process and YouTube compression in an acceptable manner, so I'm interested to see that, and also because this is more of an open question really. But I have been getting into Warhammer 2 recently, and I'm not really too sure about whether I'm going to do anything with it, really. The one thing that I would say is that this is, well, the slow motion sort of filler in the background. I'm not really going to be commenting overly on it too much. It's just more of a sort of background sort of thing for the video, as it were. I'm not really going to be discussing what's actually going on the screen, because it was just me fighting against the AI, essentially. It was just something that I was trying out with regards to the new Radius mod, or, well, not really new as such, but it is a mod that has come out for Warhammer, and the possibility exists anyway for me to do a few videos in it. Not very often, it must be said. It's probably going to be only once every 2 weeks, because the amount of time that I'm going to be able to dedicate to this sort of thing, particularly with the scheduling as it is at the moment, is going to be rather slim, and I can also only play with really 3 other people reliably, and that J-Monster is one of them, and he is going to be doing a lot of stuff in Warhammer 2 regardless anyway, so it's going to be potentially a bit of duplication, but I am having fun with Warhammer 2, and that does bring me perhaps to the more important point that this video raises, and that is that I'm suffering a little bit of burnout with regards to Third Age Reforged, and that's not because of playing the game as such, it's mainly because of a lack of playing it, to be honest with you. With the schedule that I'm currently doing, with university and my part-time job and etc, etc, it is very difficult for me to keep the upload schedule as I have. Like, for the most part, it's one video every 2.5 days, more or less, and this is fine, I suppose, as far as like getting content out, and you know, obviously people do want to see it, which I'm very flattered about. The only issue is that it was something that someone on the Discord said, I think it might have been Neffy actually, interestingly enough. I'm not actually in a great deal of my videos anymore. It's mostly stuff that people have sent in, and to me it is fun to sort of commentate over other people's battles, but I do want to play it occasionally as well, and therein lies the real problem, in the sense that if I were to keep up my current upload schedule, I can essentially play once a week, and there's not even any guarantee of that, which, you know, the Third Age videos, the siege battles in particular, do take quite a long time to make. They take quite a long time to render, take quite a long time to commentate. It's an average of, well, it's an average in terms of a process of about 4 hours per video, and that's not including the overly long upload times that YouTube likes to slap on these things. And so therein lies my problem at the moment. I don't want to upload less videos a week. I feel as though it is within my ability to keep up the pace that I've been doing, but I want to have fun while doing it, because I do think that more recently my complaining has gotten a little bit more noticeable, and that's not really intentional, as it were. It's more of a sort of observation about how my mood has shifted, and it's also down to the fact that I feel as though that I'm running out of things to talk about with regards to the current patch. All I can seem to do is point out where the issues are, and the developers already know that, to be honest, and I feel like my usefulness is growing less and less at this point in time with regards to Third Age Reforged, and that's why I did kind of want to supplement the Reforged content with something else, and that is why I think Warhammer 2 could come into it a little bit more. The alternative is that I could try and do a campaign maybe and divide and conquer, but campaigns are very long, and people's attention spans for those sort of things does tend to deteriorate just a little bit, and honestly I'm not sure I have the charisma to keep a long campaign going, even if it would be fun to do on my own time, but I'm not sure that my commentary would really add much to it. I'm already stumbling over my own words, and this is only a sort of very simple sort of open-ended question sort of video. I'm not really sure how best to put it. Regardless, I would like to hear people's feedback on this, because I don't think that I can continue doing things as I'm doing at the moment. At least not while the patch is not out, and it doesn't seem like the patch will be out for a little while yet. I would put it towards the end of the year, maybe at this rate and the current rate of development. Maybe sort of halfway through January in 2018 is maybe where I'd put the next patch at, with how quickly the progress has been moving so far. And I don't think that I can do another 2 months or so of the current way of, well, the current methods that I've been using. I feel like I need to make a change somewhere, and I feel like if I'm able to sort of reduce, well, if I reduce the quantity of my content, maybe the quality will increase. That's my thinking, because I do want to put out good stuff. I don't want to just put out any old trash, which, you know, is a danger. Like, a lot of the replays I've done, I've wasted time on a lot of replays lately, which honestly I was thinking about just posting anyway, and that's when I realised really there was a problem. You know, I can't just put out stuff that is rubbish. And yeah, so I did want to hear people's question. I mean, the Radius mod is interesting. Warhammer 2 does have a lot of shortcomings, you know, and most of these are the sort of things people tend to say is, well, it's the battles are too short, and that's true. I do agree with that. It's not the worst problem with Warhammer 2, to be honest with you, but I do think that the Radius mod will help with that. And considering the fact that I will only ever do battles from the Radius mod, which are essentially the sorts where each player will have 40 units available to them, and it will be on custom maps, they will tend to last a good deal longer. They'll be at least 25 minutes, which for a Warhammer 2 battle is very long. The main problem with Warhammer 2 I always found was that the siege battles were garbage, and I don't feel too bad in saying that because it is very accurate. However, the fortunate thing is that when CA did announce the custom maps for Warhammer 1, this did improve the situation quite a lot. And of course, you know, I'm sure that you've noticed this is a custom map that I was doing that has been playing in the background, and I believe it's called Zo's White Castle, or Bazo's White Castle. It's one of the smaller custom maps, actually, and it's a very interesting sort of settlement, and it does solve the problem of siege battles just being what essentially amounts to a corner of wall in a flat field, essentially. And that was never really a particularly fun experience for me, the Warhammer siege battles, which is a shame, because I think that the pitch battles are some of the better in the more recent series of Total Wars. Like, I was never really a huge fan of how things tended to work in Attila, for example, where it was very easy to abuse certain things, such as how strong cavalry was. Whereas in Warhammer, things are balanced a little bit better. Maybe you could say in Warhammer 2 the dragons are a little strong, but who knows? You know, it's really down to personal preference, I think. So that's really my question to you. You know, I want to put out quality stuff. I don't want to just dump videos over the course because I feel like I need to stick to a schedule. That was something I always said I wouldn't do, and I have found myself doing it, unfortunately. Now, though, I do want to make a bit of a change for that, so that would mean potentially only seeing 2 videos a week. However, those 2 videos I feel would be significantly better. And those would be 2 guaranteed Third Age Reforged videos as well. Anything Warhammer or Divide and Conquer related would be in addition to that. So that is worth bearing in mind as well. But just a few more sort of interesting points about the Radius mod. I'm sure you've noticed there are a few new units. Here we can see sort of High Elven, well, at least there's the High Elven Swordsman. There is the ship companies as well, which are essentially, I'm sure you've seen them at this point, where they're the halberdier with bows on their back. That's quite nice flavour. It sort of lends itself to them being sort of marine-based units, but they've pulled out their halberdiers in melee because they're not on boats, because of course there was that whole legal issue. There's also sort of anti-large archers somewhere on the field. There's sort of even more elite swordsman units for the High Elves, and then for the Dark Elves it's very similar, sort of more units which play into it. It's more of an expansion, if you will. The balancing is a little bit more in question, but all things considered, they do fit in very well, and the more that I would play it, the more that I would be able to offer a more informed opinion on it, as opposed to just speculation, I suppose you'd call it. Regardless, I hope that this has been somewhat informative, because I do want more guidance. Like, I'm stumbling over my words even now because I'm not really sure where to go from here, and obviously I do enjoy making the videos. If I didn't enjoy making the videos, I've always said that I would stop, and I do still enjoy it. It's just the fact that I want to put out good content. I don't want to just put out anything. So yeah, that's my open-ended question to you. Again, because this is a Warhammer 2 video, this is likely not going to have as many views as I normally get. But even so, like, if I just did a channel update video, it would only get about 300 views, and I want to get a bit more of a larger sample size than that if at all possible. But again, if anyone has any guidance, I would be very grateful to hear it. So yeah, I hope you found this informative, and I hope you'll join me for whatever is next, which I hope will be a bit more of an improvement upon what you've seen lately from me. So yeah, I hope I'll see you there.